Check, check. Quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Hey, Coach Jay, can hear you loud and clear. Good to be back. Feeling better.
Good to have you back. Sounding better. Good to hear you're feeling better. And welcome back to At the Buzzer. I needed you on this one today, Coach Paul, because we had some busy markets today.
Yeah, we did.
Uh,
There was a lot of opportunity.
Ton of opportunity today in the markets for sure. Welcome to At the Buzzer, everyone. A market recap. This is your first time here. The goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. This is our first time meeting. I'm Coach Jay, been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades, and I'm here to share some of my experience, some knowledge, and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Awesome stuff. You are all our chat, our audience. Thank you for joining us each and every day. And okay, I thought I made a mistake. Thought I made a very big mistake, but
But I was wrong.
yeah, I was wrong. I thought I made a mistake. I thought I got rid of the quote board. But we should be good. We do have some earnings coming out. We got SMCI and AMD, Super Microcomputers and AMD both reporting their earnings after the close today. So we will bring those in just a minute when we get those numbers. But as far as other numbers go, we did get the U.S. Red Book. But outside of that, we didn't really get any economic data today, Coach Paul, because of the government shutdown. We were supposed to have a ton of jobs data out this week. Big news is that the House has approved funds to end the government shutdown, and now it's going to the president to sign it into law. So we will see what happens with that. Outside of that, escalations in the U.S. and Iran. U.S. shooting down a Iranian drone that was flying in a naval ship's airspace, I guess. So there was that. There was a ton going on. There was a ton of stuff going on right now. OpenAI is not happy with NVIDIA. Pick something. But what I do know is, Coach Paul, it gave us the opportunity for volatility in these markets.
Yes, and with that, I'd like to ask a question to your audience. What did you trade today?
Great question. Great question.
Right?
What markets were you guys in today?
Let's be interested because there was plenty of opportunity, at least in the top 10. And actually, for me, my biggest profit came from the NASDAQ, selling it on the opening.
Nice. Same here. We'll talk about that trade for sure. MNQ, Mr. G in the chat. Let's see SMCI. Do we get those SMCI earnings out? Looks like maybe in a little bit of movement post the close.
NASDAQ is flat.
Not yet. Not seen them yet, but we'll bring those to you as soon as we get them. We got SMCI and AMD reporting after the close. How those companies go could give us a little bit of a indication of how earnings season is going to go for the rest of big tech. But let's take a look here at let's take a look at the quote board while we wait for SMCI here. And I thought I got rid of my quote board. That was the mistake I thought I made, but it is right there. We can't do the show without the quote board. Today, to the downside, we had the S&P down 0.86%, the NASDAQ down 1.5%, and micro Bitcoin, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 1.59% on the day. To the upside, platinum up 5.55%, gold up 7.07%, traded back above that 5,000 level for a little bit, and silver, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 10.84%. To talk about our big four, mentioned most of them already, but we have the crude oil up 3.06%. Anybody recall somebody saying that 2026 had the potential to be the year of crude? Unfortunately, what happens is if it's the year of crude, there are usually some negative things going on geopolitically. So, but we are seeing some opportunity in that market. The S&P down 0.88%, gold up 7.02%, and the NASDAQ we talked about down over 1.5%, still kind of moving around right now. A lot of movement, Coach Paul.
A lot of movement. I noticed here what some people are trading, and I gotta give this out to Dan Dan Trader, wheat and soybean oil.
Is Dan joking or is he serious?
Just kidding.
Okay.
He was trading it. Yes, of course.
I was gonna say.
You, Dan, you caught me. That was like, wow. Well, how'd you do? But
Yeah. Here we go. AMD's out. AMD is out. Earnings per share came in at $1.53. Estimates were $1.32. Revenues came in at 10.27 billion. Estimates were 9.65 billion. We can see knee-jerk reaction to AMD to the downside. Closed the day around $242. It's trading $238 right now. So a beat there on earnings per share and revenue. But of course, the market's going to do what the market wants to do. Maybe not big enough of a blowout earnings to have the market trade favorably. But what we talked about before, why do we look at these big companies? Because it'll let us know how the basket of stocks that we trade have the potential to trade. But the one thing we've seen a couple of times now is this knee-jerk reaction is going to. It's the initial move, but when the volume comes in for the New York session tomorrow, Coach Paul, that'll tell us how the market really feels about these earnings, and we'll get the earnings call as well.
yeah, I think of these as entry antes in a poker game. They just got to be in a thin market, aftermarket. There's not the market makers are not going to put up size. So let's see what happens on the New York Open.
We will see tomorrow. SMCI, I don't see.
I don't see anything
I
either.
don't see the numbers yet for SMCI. We'll get those to you as soon as we have them. But Janish, shout out to Janish. Requested my first Topstep payout. Grateful to Coach Jay and Coach Paul for guidance and support. Janish, we're grateful
Wow.
for you, to you for watching, tuning in, and shout out to you for implementing whatever you learned from either us here or anybody at Topstep. Great job.
Great job. Yeah, I know you've been working at it and improving. That's awesome to hear. Congratulations. May
Norpez.
many more come with that.
Yeah, seriously. Norpez shorted NASDAQ on a funded for 570, long MNQ for 1400 on an eval. Nice job. Coach Paul's a little quiet. Oh, yeah, I got you. Turn him up a little bit.
Checking.
No, you should be good. It was on my side.
Okay.
All right. Well, couldn't trade today for BAM. What did you miss? And we get into the markets. Switch back over here to Topstep X. We'll wait for SMCI to come out with their earnings. But here we go. Start with the NASDAQ on a daily. Coach Paul, what are we seeing? We have been trading these same prices for 3 months.
We are rotation on a larger time frame.
Yeah.
I prefer this type of rotation because it's for me, it's just easier. Inside of that, you have some great directional moves, but this is a balanced market since, well, this is 1 quarter now, right? October.
Yeah. It's
going on 4 months here.
This all-time high is October 30th. That is let's see how many days that is. That is 96 calendar days, 66 trading days since we've made an all-time high in the futures.
So 1 quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Balance, like you said though, big enough balance to trade. Sometimes the NASDAQ can get in this zone where it's like a $100 range, high to low, 100-point range, high to low. That's tough to trade. We're seeing the daily ATR increase over the past couple of days. It's at 450 points now. A couple of days ago, it was at 380, 360. So the daily ATR is increasing as we stay in this range. You're getting what was a year ago a trending move intraday, sometimes in both directions in the NASDAQ. So there's not a lack of opportunity. It's just they're very specific opportunities and range-bound opportunities. Anything else you want to say on the daily here, Coach Paul?
Yeah, let's put up the 50 and the 20. And I think look at that. They're just braiding.
Right in the middle of that range, too.
How does that Dorito look? Even that's breaking out and going nowhere.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of the Charlie Daniels song, "We're going by way of Omaha. We're going nowhere fast." All
Yeah.
right,
This market
so
really, I mean, it's just bouncing back and forth between the two, right? And today's range was the entire span of that Dorito pattern, which again is awesome to trade. But if you're looking for breakout trades here in the Nasdaq on a higher time frame, right? Oh, it's going to go make all time highs. Nothing about this market has said that for a very long time, and keeping that in mind can present some pretty nice opportunities. We'll talk about one here. Take a look at the 30-minute in the Nasdaq. Go to that 200 moving average. What is that white line, everybody? Money line? Is that what somebody called it? Make sure you read that Topstep risk disclosure. Anything we say here is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and sometimes jokes. But in this case, the money line did its thing today.
yes, it did.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. No, it's not that white line. No, not that one.
the dragon line.
Not that
I
one.
kind of like that.
But here we go. So, Coach Paul, interesting day today, right? We had the VWAP when we started the day, opened the day below the 200 moving average, and had VWAP actually trade higher than it. But this overnight session was not very convincing.
No, and if you look at, you framed it out. We did leave out, and it rallied, but it was a heavy rally, and VWAP really flattened out just before the New York Open. So remember, we're above the 200 with what? Look at the volume. That's negligible volume. Look at the top too. Look at, you can't even see that there wasn't even trading.
No.
So that's going to reflect in VWAP. If we just trail VWAP, it flattened out. So in other words, there was no energy in this.
Yep.
So you could have, I mean, it was directionless. So
100%.
coming into the New York Open, you realize that it was a flat, dead overnight now. And I'm going to hand it off to you for the opening, because it was just perfect on that 3 minute.
Yeah, it was. We marked out that 200 moving average. This is this white line. We talked about this with Hogue, right? 25,900. The overnight session, you just talked about it, didn't really give us a whole lot to work with, which want to add this to your pre-market analysis. The daily ATR in the NASDAQ is what? 430 points right now. Overnight session before the New York session opened was 156 points. So 430 minus 150 is what, 280? So
Yeah.
coming into the morning, unless we're going to see a consolidated day, there's potential for 280 points in a direction or maybe both. Maybe the market's going to split it in both directions, right? But
On average.
on average, right? But when we look at where the market has been, and this is when we go back to saying, putting the puzzle pieces together, we're at the upper extreme of the range, 26,000, big fat round number right above us. Overnight inventory didn't really give us a lot, which means that there's potential for a move in the New York session. Coach Paul, I think I sold this market 45 seconds into the open.
Yeah.
And I took a scratch. I took a scratch initially and then waited for confirmation under that, 25,900. But if we look at this here, there's that VWAP. And, you were out yesterday, Coach Paul, but it sounds like, honestly, rinse and repeat. We open up under VWAP.
Session VWAP.
Session VWAP. That's the high of the day. Price tries to trade higher. Volume doesn't. I mean, how many textbook urgency trades have we had this week so far? And it's only Tuesday.
Good point.
Sunday night, yesterday, again today. Hopefully you're all able to acknowledge and identify these opportunities, and maybe you don't trade this way, right? Maybe you use
Sure.
a different strategy, but if you're looking for urgency setups, the market is just giving us layups right now. And it's a layup from a analysis perspective, but we still have to be in the right mindset to execute it and size accordingly. If I take this trade and I say, "Oh, this is the one," I'm going to take it with a 15 lot and pass my 150K combine or make $1 million today. You could very easily blow your account before the market goes. So when you see high quality setups, size accordingly, right? Size accordingly.
Also, remember the number one rule is to stay alive.
100%.
So when we keep preaching, that's a key principle of capital preservation. You can't over leverage. Just because this one worked, it has no bearing on the next one. And then the next one, it could just as well turn around. So when you over leverage, you're ignoring probabilities. When you're ignoring probabilities, you're gambling. So, but it gives information. As I learned from Pete Stottlemyre, information comes in fragmented ways.
Yep.
First, information, we're under session VWAP. Second, we're leaving the first 3 minutes with urgency. Now, that's a high probability, not a guarantee. There is no certainty. The temptation is where the gambling comes in is sell 5 minis and I'll buy the Lambo on the close.
Shit, if you took it with 15 and you just fell asleep, you could buy a couple of Lambos, one for you and your friend.
So, in all seriousness, understanding that it's thinking probabilistically, reading. You got good information. Now you can react to the information you're giving. There is no guarantee. So, while these are high probability trades, you have to be disciplined in your risk taking. It's so when I was younger, I was like, oh, so I'm a 10 lot trader today.
Yeah.
Then it goes against you and you're frozen, and we've gone over that. So this is where discipline comes. Your destiny comes from discipline, not hold my beer or I'm gonna sell the hell out of this.
Yeah.
But the
Yep.
great structure.
Wesley says, I waited for anchor VWAP to leave the opening range, then started to wait for my setup. That's the key. And for Brendan, do you mark that urgency trade around the first 3-minute candle for market open? Yeah. So for the equity open, I'm using the 3-minute, and we go from there. And I mean, these are just textbook examples, and the full puzzle was there, right? We had failure below the 200 moving average. I actually was short. Like I said, I got short 914s, and then again from 930s. So I did take it early, right? I will say that I preempted this trade, but Coach Paul, when Steph Curry when he shoots and he just turns around,
Yeah,
and starts running back the other way, that's one of these, right? And what I will say is that if I missed, I ran the risk of being wrong and preempting a trade. But what happens is when you do these things consistently over time and you ask yourself whether or not you're entering trades that are in your best interest based on a process, sometimes you know it's going to go in before you shoot it. But you have to do millions of reps to get to that point. In this case, this was one of those. It was going to go, and the market agreed, right? The market agreed really all day. One day, Coach Paul, I'll never forget this. 2 years ago, we were looking at this exact trade because we've been doing the same thing for a very long time now. You talked about a close above VWAP is invalidation of the trade. One day.
yeah.
Not today, but one day.
But well, did we close above that VWAP?
We never did. We never did. So one day that is going to be
Wow.
the execution.
Session VWAP and 3-minute VWAP.
Yes.
So, I mean, you know, and working with you too, Coach, I used to wait for the first half an hour before I made my decision. When we discussed this, I'm completely 180 degrees flip flop.
Yeah.
If I can find urgency early, it's to me that's the it doesn't it's I can risk less
Correct.
because it's a shorter time frame. It's more defined. And I wouldn't have believed that 3 years ago. So maybe the market structure has changed, but the bottom line is reading and reacting.
For sure.
I'll use a basketball term. The read was there, and reacting time was why wait.
Yep.
This is this is this is something I can lean on without worrying about blowing up.
100%. So to your point, Coach Paul, we're talking about getting in early, and there is, the thought process out there that you should wait, right? You should wait 15 minutes. You should wait a half an hour. You should wait an hour for the market to establish. My question is, and we could leave this as uh, an open-ended question. If I wait an hour, how do I get into a trade from here?
And there is a process for that, and I'm not here to put anyone's process,
Right.
but that process, like you said, how do you do it?
Yeah.
And that's the process. I just find it a little. I used to do it, but I find this one. I like the shorter time frame, less risk. The more time you have in your analysis, the more time you have to give it. Which the more time equals more risk.
Yeah.
I just so if you think for an investor, buy and die is the best thing to do. It's been proven over and over. As Warren Buffett, but we're not investors; we're traders. So understand that what I like. This is a shorter time frame. It's less exposure. Um,
Uh,
so I've made a complete 180-degree turn.
For sure. Darnell in the chat, I like that. Enter as close as possible to VWAP and 1.5 ATR stop. That's an option, right? And there's a couple of ways, and I know I'm conscious of the fact that we do a lot of analysis based on how we trade, which makes sense. But I know also that there's a bunch of traders that trade different styles, right? The initial balance low. That's this white line on my chart here. Now let's change the color. Make this make it a pink line. The initial balance low, which is the range of the first hour of trade in whatever market you trade. So the equities open up at 9:30. This is the high to low range from 9:30 to 10:30 Eastern time. That initial balance low, 25,740 and a quarter in the 25,470 and a quarter in the NASDAQ. You could use that as a frame of reference, right? We did get a bounce off of that low. We checked up towards VWAP, like you were saying, Darnell. So you could get your trade on somewhere around here. The question is, in my opinion, there's a lot more discretion here. What is close enough to VWAP, right? And things like that. Like how do you measure a pull up in the opposite direction before you start getting in? And there are ways to do it. We can focus on those a little bit more, but a 3 ATR pull up on a 3-minute. If you think there's more downside, that's probably a good enough spot to start looking. But for me, what I like to do, Coach Paul, is if there's another volume spike, that's the opening range for the day.
I was just going to bring that up. We've done this a long time.
Well, a very long time, yeah.
And what do we have here? We talk about, is that a J trade or is that continuation?
Had the potential to be. But is it a coincidence that this large volume spike that we have here is the candle that trades and holds below the initial balance? There was a headline that actually this was the US just shot down an Iranian drone candle. sometimes high volume means continuation, and the fact that it's happening right at that IB low, this bounce up here, you know, you have a risk limiter, right? A lot of times I think what gets real scary, Coach Paul, is we see the market here, high volume at the low. Oh, this is a J trade. And it should be clear as day why this is not a J trade, even if you start to look for one, because it had the potential to be. But what didn't we do? Obviously, we didn't close above that candle. When we see this rejection up here, your risk to me, in this case, the risk limiter is the high of this candle. If you can find a place to get in short, you're already late to the move, but a headline comes out and it's a war headline, there's a way to trade this. Maybe you don't want to sell this low, right? Because that's a 50-point pullback or a 50-point drawdown. But if you can find a way to get into this, maybe at 50% of it, risk the high, that is a way late in the day where you can find a trade. If this high volume doesn't happen like this, then maybe we just continue to drift lower. But that was another opportunity there. Go ahead, Coach Paul.
Well, we've talked about this before. With that large volume outside of the opening range on news, which brought us under the initial balance where we closed, we've talked about that. We can consider this a new opening because we talked about fragmented information. We already had the low. Now, if I want to buy low, all right, and I don't see any reason to do it. The flow is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Here, can I sell low and expect it to go lower? Well, I have some information right here. Heavy selling. My risk is above that candle. It's a new open.
Yep.
And was that a 2-to-1 on that?
The sell side?
Yeah.
Where'd you sell it?
Well, let's say you sell the on a stop on the breakout, right? When we close below.
Right here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got a 2-to-1.
Right.
Oh, pretty close. One tick off. They gave me a bad fill.
Let me tell you this. If you're watching it,
Yeah.
I always enter it 2 ticks above that.
Yeah.
There's nothing because we can't do market if touched. If you know as MIT, that means if it touches the market, just trades there. Can't be bid or offered because that to me means nothing.
Yep.
I'm just an old man with old ways. I mean, it's got to trade there for some value. It can't just be bid. But if it trades there, it's your buy is entered as a market order. Either way, 99%. And I've heard Hoke talk. He's an old grizzled old veteran. What? It's not my exact price, and I'm going 2-to-1 or whatever. Give it some room because this is not an exact science.
Yeah.
All right.
100%. Okay, got a question from Philip. Do you wait for a 3-minute closure with VWAP outside the opening range to enter? Philip,
Great
trading mentor used to say this all the time. I can teach you the rules, and then execution goes a certain way, right? We were going to use a lot of sports examples today, sports analogies. There is a textbook way to shoot a basketball. If you look at the greatest shooter in the world ever and his form, it is not the picture perfect form. So if we're talking about, what'd you say?
He pulls his hands. He pulls his hands down.
Yeah, right. So if you look at the way Steph shoots the ball, doesn't shoot with perfect form, right? So the execution of the idea is going to be, up to your discretion. But if we're going with the textbook definition, then yes, price and volume have to leave that range to the downside for added confirmation, right? If you take it before that, there's a high probability that we may not get any follow through, right? So if you're looking for added confirmation, you may have to sacrifice trade location, right? You may have to be getting in down here, but you do have that confirmation that price and volume are starting to leave the range as well. Like I said, I took this trade up here at 936. I've been taking the same trade for I don't know how many years now, right? So some of them I'm going to take a little bit earlier, right? I'm going to shoot it and I know it's going in. But That wasn't the case when I first started taking this trade. I have to wait for confirmation first and then go from there. Coach Paul, you're smiling over there.
No, I just saw some of that. Wait, I thought the greatest shooter was Vinny Microwave from the Microwave. What was it? Vinny?
Vinny Del
Was he on
Negro?
at Detroit? No, he played for Detroit Pistons. He would just go nuts. Was it? But I was thinking, in that argument, Pistol Pete Maravich
Okay.
is right there too.
Yeah.
I mean, he averaged 43 points a game
Yeah. crazy.
in college, and there was no 3-point line.
That's insane.
Either way, it's consistency
Yep.
is the key. So did someone say, I don't want to go through this, did someone find a J trade on the 1 minute in the NASDAQ around 2 o'clock Eastern?
Yeah, Billy did. Vinny Johnson.
Yeah, Vinny, and he would just get hot and then just throw up 20 points in minutes. He was very fun to watch.
Dante Sweeney just let us know in the chat. He says all this basketball talk is going to be like Chinese arithmetic for some people to understand. So we'll try to keep it to trading. But yeah. All right. Let's see. So one of the things that I do want to map out, and we can see the market respects volume. This 3-minute candle here, and use it on a 1 minute, whatever it is. The market's respecting that. That is our drone candle, right? That's when that news came out. I'm going to watch how the market responds to this range going forward. All right. 1 minute. 2 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, Billy. I mean, it didn't exactly make the low if you're looking on a 1 minute, but that candle closed above. And that's the thing too, right?
Wow.
When an English teacher teaches English, Coach Paul, to maybe to like an ESL class, English second language, they have to tell you exactly how to speak the language, right? Exactly the way it was meant to be spoken. But then you learn and you're like, hey, no one speaks like that. Same thing here. Billy, that's a great trade. I didn't even recognize that. That's a great trade. It was the low at the time.
Yeah, good catch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great trade.
And it was funky in that it was a small range.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a big range because it's volume based. Well, great trade. I hope you took advantage of that.
Yeah,
And
seriously.
look what it did when it came back to test it.
Yep, it held. It held. So I gave back some of the profit that I had on the day. Trying to get, where did I try to get long? I think I tried to get long in this range here. Got a little chopped up, but we came back and held that candle, Billy. So nice job. Yeah, I got long in this, thinking we were gonna push back up. All right. Let's get to some questions here. We spent a lot of time on the NASDAQ, but it was a very interesting day.
It's almost a duplication in the S&P.
Very similar. The Dow, they're all honestly, they all kind of look the same.
Except for the Russell. I hate to pull that out, but Russell stayed in the opening range for most of the day.
Oh, it got back to it.
Yeah, it was a little different. But I did see some rotation early. I bought the Russie and sold the NASDAQ and the S&P.
Gotcha.
Took a small loss in the Russell when it broke out of the opening range, but worked out well in the S&P and the NASDAQ.
Yep.
But that rotation was again a factor this morning.
For sure. All right. How long does it usually take to go live after the 5th payout, American Trader? I don't have that answer. Just keep trading. Congrats on getting the 5 payouts if that's where you're at. Just keep trading.
Keep what you're doing.
Yeah, seriously. And then Philip Thomas has a question. Philip, I love this question. Can you use the same strategy with the anchored view out to enter following news candles? Example, the Iran drone candle. Philip, I actually don't know if I've ever seen your name in this chat, but yes, that's exactly what we do for any news candle. It's CPI, FOMC. I don't want to try to guess, but that if you consider that a new open, go from there. You anchor a VWAP, you see how the market trades, and then you go from there. So 100%, you can definitely do that. All
Wow,
right.
that's a great observation because we will go over that on big number
Yep.
news days.
100%. ISM numbers tomorrow. ISM numbers tomorrow.
Let me check.
Are we actually getting them?
These are all good questions.
Yeah. So these numbers are still on the calendar for now, but I think if the government shutdown doesn't end, then we're not getting anything. So I think it's all pending. All pending. All right. Let's take a look at gold here, Coach Paul. You want to go to the daily? Let's start with the daily. What are we seeing here?
Yet, you know what? Let's use a Fibonacci. We people ask for it, and this one's a really important one. From the high
To the low?
to the low.
Wow.
Okay. I thought you'd like that. I looked at that. So, wherever, one thing we can say, it's equilibrium from the big break. I think tonight is a big night. Why? We've reached halfway into that dramatic break, so we're at balance. If it's going to continue to the downside, we'll see it soon. But it doesn't feel like it's moved that much
No.
since Sunday night, but it has. So big level right in the middle of the break here. Are buyers going to come in sometime tonight, push that higher? Or not, are we going to reject it? But there's the 50% of the move to the downside or the correction. Notice, where did we go to? The low was that
Oh yeah.
that other,
Yeah. The low.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
almost to the
This is the
dollar
daily time frame for anyone that was asking. But yeah, we're looking at the major sell off candle.
daily.
Right. On the daily, we just held it inside that low. I mean, the 30.
Yeah. So let's put the 200 on that half hour. Okay. That's the
Interesting
next,
spot.
and that comes, it's going to be right about the 200. So my eyes are focused on gold, on the COMEX Open or Globex Open and Shanghai. We're coming to what I'll describe as a decision point, technically.
For sure. Yeah. What I'll be watching here is I mean, you just said it, Coach Paul. Market's response to this 200 moving average if and when we get up there. If price advertises higher, volume doesn't, what does that say? If price advertises higher and volume does, what does that say? That'll tell you your trade from there. And it depending on how quickly gold wants to move tonight, this 200 moving average could line up pretty damn close to that 50% level. Tonight is going to be a very interesting night in the metals. Last night was as well, though. We did have, here's a 30-minute. We did have some decent urgency. Three candles in on a 30-minute. We had price and volume leaving the range to the upside. Nice little push there. One of the things we've been doing is, looking at it on a shorter time frame to see whether or not that helps us limit the risk. Here's your urgency trade on the 3-minute.
What market is that?
This is gold. Whatever market you want it to be. They're all doing the same thing. This is gold in this case. Yeah, beautiful opportunity.
Yeah, when we were talking about creating the abstract, the half hour is is a larger range of bigger risk. Whenever you For the most part, you extend the time, it's larger risk, larger reward also. But as we talk gold right now, for most people, it's hard to trade with a small balance, or if not, impossible. But great trade there when you can identify that. I
100%.
gotta give a shout out here to Shubham Singh, because you've with us for a while. I mean, when you bias is a very dangerous thing in trading. I know whenever I stuck to my bias and didn't listen to the market, the day never ended well for me. You have made a huge progress, Shubham.
For
First of
sure.
all, you're leaving a predictive mindset and you're making decisions based on the market's movement, not what you think it's doing. And that's a step to a higher level thinking and most likely more successful trading. I have to give him a shout out for that.
Yeah, really nice one. One of Coach Hoop's VIPs. There you go. A pit raider. Pit raiders in the chat. Pretty Lily asks, is an urgency trade a trade where there's a break above or below the previous candles? So here's an urgency trade right here, right? 3 minute in gold last night. What defines urgency? Price and volume leaving that range relatively early. In this case, on a 3 minute, you can call it 4 to 5 candles. But even then, after it left, there was a nice pullback to VWAP, but it's price and volume leaving the market in the same direction relatively early based on the time frame that you trade, right? So again, relative, because on a 30 minute, in order for me to get price and volume, we're saying urgency, but it may not happen quickly, right? If I'm looking at a 30-minute chart for urgency, I'm not taking a trade for at least an hour, right? Because I have to let the market determine how it's going to trade. If I'm taking an urgency trade based on a 3 minute chart, it could be 6 to 15 minutes for me to be taking that trade, right? In this case, it was about, by the third candle, so about 6 to 9 minutes in, we saw price and volume trying to leave that range to the upside, right? 9 minutes. And again, this looks really quick when you do it here, but this is still 9 minutes of waiting for the market to confirm. So there is still some patience required, right? We go back to the NASDAQ, for example. The NASDAQ, when did it confirm urgency? 3 minutes into the market, or 6 minutes in. The second 3 minute candle was leaving the range to the downside, and VWAP was down sloping as well, right? So it's confirmation of direction in one way. KR Capital, I've been trading for 14 years. Coach Paul has been trading longer than I've been alive.
4 decades.
Yep. 4 decades. All right. Let's we covered gold. Do we want to go over silver?
Yeah, let's see.
So okay, so I remember what I want to talk about in silver.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go to the daily to start? Let's look at the daily.
Yeah.
Not as strong.
Not as strong. It's still recovering. I still firmly believe, and I grew up with the first silver explosion and break. What's going to happen? What happened after Friday is you had big player blowout, whatever his name, the hat in China. And God knows how big that was, but a lot of the peripheral players got blown out. And I think we could go into a prolonged range bound trade that and kind of reflecting in the silver versus gold. If we use the Fibonacci, I don't think we even recovered quarter of that,
No.
or maybe 30%. So
Right
the
above a quarter.
structure, yeah, it's wow. So with that, I wanted to show on a Fibonacci basis, we're not even halfway.
Yep.
and it's kind of a dead cat bounce so far. But let's see what today's action brought us with the half hour.
Last night's open. Some urgency on the 30. Shanghai actually gave us a pullback in the metals. Actually, I want to talk about that. I got long gold. We'll talk about it in silver, but I got long gold on the Shanghai Open, and this was, to me a case of here's Shanghai Open, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Decent urgency, right? These trades are not all going to look like the NASDAQ did today. Sometimes they're going to lose, right? And this is where we say you have to size accordingly. There's going to be a percentage of times where it looks really good until it doesn't, especially because we're trading volume. Volume, Coach Paul, is I think a forward-looking indicator. It tells you what has the potential to happen. But the worst part about it is you're like walking in a forest and you can only see a step in front of you. And you have to hope that the guide in front of you is not going to lead you into like a bear trap or something. If volume just happens to come out of nowhere, can change your trade, right? So we're trying to follow, but if it decides to turn around, you're at the mercy of the market. So, not all your trades are going to work because the market participants may say, hey, you know what? We changed our mind. We're going the other way. So there was a decent urgency trade on the Shanghai session, but it turned around. And if I'm not okay with that, or I took some profits on my gold trade and Dakota got short, I still like the longs overall, but in the time frame I was looking at, this would have been a losing trade if I didn't take it off, right? And that's okay, right? I took it for a scratch because I saw what I didn't like. Trade your trade strategy long enough so you know exactly what it looks like when it's not going to work. And in this case, I was like, this trade's not going to work. VWAP start to flatten out, I'm out.
Well, let's two things on that. I want to go is you did have urgency, and did it reach 2-to-1? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It was more like 1-to-1.
Yeah.
But what it was, we said we get fragmented information. You
Yep.
said it before. It's like trading, walking through the woods blind. You have to.
Right.
What is that? It's uncertainty. The one thing it's always there is uncertainty, even in a high probability trade. To me, what really signaled that it lost its urgency is when it closes below that VWAP.
100%.
So okay, it's not following through. That should stay above. And VWAP, what did VWAP do?
Flattened out.
It flattened out. I don't need to. At that point, I got new information. All right, versus today's when we used the example with NASDAQ. It's just kept on ticking down. Could not find any buyers. Here, you get new information.
Okay, SMCI earnings are out. We'll go back to that really quick, and then we'll come back to these charts. SMCI earnings per share came in at 69 cents. Nice. Estimates were 49 cents. Adjusted gross margin 6.4%. Estimate was 6.52. Sees Q3 adjusted earnings per share at least 60 cents. Estimates 52 cents. I'm not seeing any revenue numbers just yet. Yeah. So there you go. SMCI, nice little pop after the close. Oh man. Seeking God Mode says, yo, does anyone know why Topstep deleted all their social media posts? I'm in the middle of a payout and now I'm sketched out. I'm not going to receive it. My friend, you do not have to worry. You are okay. Continue to trade. You're in a good spot here with us at Topstep. We appreciate you being here. Don't listen to what you see on social media. There's a post that I'm going to share, and it's a one word post, Coach Paul, that I used a couple months ago. But the word is sensationalism. Don't get caught up in sensationalism. People post shit on social media, and they half the time are not privy to what's actually going on. So keep trading well. As long as you are
Yeah.
on the right side of everything that's, right about trading, you're good. Your payouts are safe.
That's a great piece of advice, Coach.
Yep.
It reminds me of an old, for those of you who ever watched the Cubs, they had a Hall of Fame announcer, Harry Carey, he had a string of great bits. One of them was, talk is cheap,
Yep.
but, but whiskey costs money.
Yeah.
And in trading and in social media, there's a lot of talk,
Yep.
but who's buying the whiskey? Topstep will buy the whiskey if you've earned it.
Yep.
So,
There you go. Good point there. Good point there, Coach Paul. Yeah. So
all
just
right.
social media is an
Move
interesting
forward.
place. Okay, so what was interesting? Let's get back to these markets because right before the open, if you guys were watching the opening call this morning, we were looking at silver, right? Hogan and I were doing the market analysis for silver, and right as we got to $89, somebody was on the offer, Coach Paul, with 140 contracts of silver.
Someone who didn't get out last week.
Right.
That's a social media. But I don't. That's just talk. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
But what do we? 100. That's a lot of silver.
Hell of a lot of silver. Yeah. And they did it again. So why I want to point this out. Sometimes, we talk about the depth of market a lot, Coach Paul. Question for everybody in the chat. Who uses level 2 data as part of their analysis and trading? Just a question. Because I realize, and Andre called this out the other day on the the daytime show. We talk a lot about depth of market. Me especially, I'm looking at it all the time. But I'm also realizing that some traders don't even use it, and they might hear this information and be like, "What the hell are these guys talking about?" So, 1 in the chat if you used level 2 and the depth of market or book map or something like that. 2 in the chat if you don't use it at all. I do, but got confused with it a bit today. No idea how to use it. Courtney uses it. No. 1 in the chat if you use it. 2 if you don't. Citadel. It's always them, Billy. 2. I like hearing it. Okay, and it's mixed, so you don't need it, right? Coach Paul, are you looking at the DOM? Are you using level 2 data to make your decisions?
No. I
Right.
find it no. I don't because when I look at the time, it gets me anxious. All
Yeah,
that movement. I want to see the output of the movement. So I rely more on VWAP and volume, pure volume, and market structure.
for sure.
But if it works for you, have at it. One of
Yeah,
the things I did is I tend when I had it, I overanalyzed every trade for me personally.
yeah,
That's where I came back to. I just want the output.
yep. So I want to give everybody who joins here the way I look at it, right? Executed orders, like Coach Paul just said, I rely on volume. Why? Because executed orders tell me a lot more than potential orders. But when you see a big order like this, what do we end up getting here at this high? 143 contracts traded. What do we end up getting here at the high?
Ooh, professor, I'll be very disappointed
Who
if our students don't answer
who
this.
who has it? What did we end up getting here at this high?
And while we're doing that, I guess Leda Vorn says I like time and sales. Yeah, I will consult time and sales more because those are actual trades.
Yep.
I was a time and sales clerk for the exchange when I first started.
There you go. Monica got it. Yair got it, right? J trade. So the market's response to executed volume tells a lot. There's an urgency trade here, right? So if you hear a big order, oh, a big order just got filled at XYZ price, you know, you don't have to try to decipher what that means. Frame out the candle that traded that volume and then go from there. We're giving out all the sauce today. We should be at like 1 million likes right now. That
Yeah,
never made
really.
another high. So if you don't know how to use the DOM, don't try to figure it
Oh,
out by reading every single order. find the big orders, the market trade them, and frame out what you do on the charts. Highest volume, we close below it. This is an urgency trade to the downside.
Wow. Look what happened when we went back up there.
Yeah. Same seller was up there.
Was it offered again?
Yep.
And what was the price?
$89.
Okay. Well, that to me, that is a commercial offer. And that is not a speculative offer.
Yeah.
And this would probably, when I say someone getting rid of inventory or hedging, especially twice, 3 times.
Yeah.
And it does not, then that was the high of the day.
That was the high of the day. 393 contracts traded at $89 even in silver. And it started with that 140 lot on the offer.
By the way, we haven't doing, okay. The first level of resistance in silver from the pivot
Okay.
was 86.28.
86.28.
And once we got below that, after this high level, they couldn't handle that imbalance, and it almost made new lows.
Sell everything.
But well, what happened also there? VWAP session. But key point here is not all volume is the same.
Correct.
It got filled the first time, right?
Yeah.
Did it get filled the second time they offered it?
Yep.
It stopped on a dime.
Yeah.
So that high volume, or that, and especially in silver right now, I'm going to go back to my comments before. A lot of secondary traders got blown out Friday.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's people are more. The volume is coming in from what I'll call professional people that have to be involved.
Yep.
Are dominant. That's a great example of that.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. And it gave you multiple opportunities to do it. Now, so here's the thing, right? We're seeing this, big order got filled. There should be an urgency trade. What would happen if that order filled and then instead of that downsloping VWAP, it looked like this? There's no trade, right? So just keep that in mind. They're not always going to act the same way. But in this case, it's I got 3 minutes, right? I got the order filled in this 3-minute candle. I don't have to make a decision right away. I think a lot of times what happens as traders, we try to figure out how to sell this high. That's not your job. That's whoever sold 140 contracts up there, that's their job. Like Coach Paul said, they have to be in the markets. So now I have 3 to 6 to 9 minutes to assess how I'm going to take part of their trade. If VWAP was flat, there's nothing for me to do. But if there's follow through behind that selling, or everyone who bought in this is now scared because somebody's selling big size up here, then I'm going to take advantage of that flow to the downside. Beautiful trade there in silver.
There's other things too. We're running out of time.
We got to talk about crude.
We got to. Yeah.
Go ahead, Coach. You're going to say something.
My crude. No, I would add volume. I'm going to hand this out to Coach Vinny.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for bringing up that volume profile. I haven't used it in a long time. And there's an example here of volume profile rotating point of control up to, but just below that high volume we just talked to. And then once we got under that, it just broke. So further confirmation. Now, I saw that too on the break, but I don't want to risk $1,500 on a micro.
No. I saw it too when we were doing an opening call. I'm like, damn, that could be a good trade, but it's okay. Sometimes you got to let the buzz pass. Catch the local. Silver's like the express bus with the crazy driver. Let's take a look at crude oil. Here's crude. Where do you want to start with this one, Coach Paul?
Well, let's look at the daily. Now, the daily we had yesterday a sharp drop.
Yeah.
We had urgency, peace throughout the world for a day. Whatever the reason was, we had urgency down to and but above the 200 moving average.
Yep.
So coming in, and look at that 20-day moving average is getting some. It's starting to move directionally. We held that area on the opening. All right. So we're still above the 200. Now look at the size of the volume on that break. It was pretty good volume. So I would look for continuation to the downside. If not, we're above the 200. So that first half an hour, let's start there last night.
Also, Coach Paul, this is the first time the 20 moving average has been above the 200 and the 50 since like mid last year.
Yeah. So the short covering is, and now is it allocation. Now, first half an hour, Globex. Remember, how many times have we said this? Asian, you rarely has urgency in crude,
Yep.
and we had some pretty sloppy trade. We're holding yesterday's low for most of the Asian session. We did get, and we didn't get urgency. It took, what time did that happen? Around midnight. We had some sharp moves, but indecision.
Yep.
Now, where do we frame out energies, especially crude?
Here's
London time.
Yep. Go ahead. Keep going.
So we actually had some urgency in the half hour to the downside. And you wouldn't be wrong
Nope.
for wanting to sell it, but what's your exit? Well, if I sold that low, it gets above VWAP and VWAP flattened out. I'm taking the first loss as the best loss.
Yeah.
Now, for me, my bias from the daily is I want to find a place to buy it. Now, let's look at the price of VWAP from that opening in London.
From
Oh,
London
there's
open.
a set. It lines up with the session VWAP. We closed above session VWAP and London open. This is the new opening to me.
Yep.
Now look at the background, larger time frame, daily. Not only, I think we're a little beyond short covering. This is allocation. This is buy the dip. Now, if I bought it early and oversized, I can't take it. If I bought it early and took a small loss, I could try again. I have better information on session VWAP, closing above, accepting London. What's my risk? Well, by the way, micros for most accounts here for crude are pretty good.
Yeah, they are.
I think you can do a couple of they're like potato chips. Uh, but what is it? New lows. I'm going to take a stance.
Hmm.
So new lows was about $1. I,
Yeah, it depends where you took that long. Yeah, but about $1. 70
so
cents.
70 cents. Let's say $1. Okay, in a micro, that's
$70.
$100.
Yeah, $100.
Yeah, $70 to $100.
Right.
I like that trade. Maybe I'll do two if it's in my risk budget. But right there, and then we're starting to see this in the crude. BTD.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't easy, and I won't actually. I don't trade the crude in Asian unless there's some extreme urgency. But London, to me, is where it starts, and we hit a nice trade, and that's where the session VWAP. Look at the price of session VWAP. when we entered London and when we broke above,
Yep.
it starts going up.
Each half an hour.
And it's marching. It takes institution size to do that. Our, our retail volume does not move VWAP. If it was retail, VWAP would go where? Sideways.
Sideways, flat. Yeah.
All right. So nice. Crude is becoming.
Market of 2026. Somebody said it. You heard it here first. You hear somebody start doing urgency trade classes. Just understand where they got it from. That name came from Coach Paul.
Hey, here's another thing on look at the 200 daily moving average.
Yeah.
It's been downtrending for 6 months and now it's uptrending.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to move that. Yeah, I'm being polite, Dante. I'm being effing polite. Does that work?
Being effing polite. Let me see something here. Because we did have on a higher time frame. I know we are at time. We're above time right now. On a higher time frame, we did. Oh man. Okay. All right. Sounds good. What else do we got to talk about? Here's an urgency trade on a daily in crude oil. Urgency J trade. This candle made the low of the year. We closed above it. Volume leads to the upside. That VWAP has been supportive the entire time, setting the low for the day today. The market presents a puzzle to us each and every day. It's our job to find the puzzle pieces that fit for that day and take advantage of it.
Thou shalt not remove that VWAP.
How do we lock this line in here forever?
Robert, Coach Robert.
Yeah, how do we get this line to never leave my chart until we invalidate it? That's the question. But we're at time there, Coach Paul. I know there's probably a bunch of other markets we could talk about. Bitcoin was moving. Anything else? I haven't asked in a while. What's on your scouting report right now? Or do we just have enough opportunity with the markets every day?
Crude.
There you go. There you go.
We won't have a dip tomorrow. We'd have to have follow through.
Yeah.
But crude has been it's been on my radar. How about a quick look at the yen? Well, we filled the gap on the runaway. Ooh. Well, Janish, I'd love to bring you on.
Yeah.
Two things happening here. What is happening to the 20-day and the 50-day? They're flattening out.
Yep.
We're coming back to test this. Okay. From what you've learned here at the buzzer, see if you can make a decision on how to trade that. I'll leave it at that. Plan your trade your plan, and we'll talk again tomorrow.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, everybody, for joining. If you can do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button. We got coaches doing classes in Discord after this. Coach Hoop, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Coach Ray, 7 p.m. Eastern. Coach Vince, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You saw Coach Vince in the chat. And then Dakota with Slow Markets tonight at 8:30. Aaron with the London Open on YouTube, 2:30 Eastern time. D with the Euro Trade, 4:30. And we're back for the opening call tomorrow at 8:15 Eastern time. Trade well, everybody. Manage your risk. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.